Hi, everyone. Welcome to this panel where we're going to talk about Argentina's game development ecosystem. But first of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Florencia Fole. I'm the Vice President of ADVA, and I'm also part of the Women in Games Ambassadors since 2020. And I'm also the Business Development Director at Turbo Localizations, and I'm also co-hosting a videocast called Open World, published by Multilingual TV. So today we want to welcome you to the Argentine Games Factory. Every day in our country, new developers that offer their creations and services to the world are joining the industry. So in our next slide, I want to share with you a short video where we're going to see the latest titles that we published during 2020. And on this next slide, I want to talk about a bit more about ADVA. ADVA was founded in 2004 as the Association of Video Game Developers of Argentina, and is a nonprofit organization made up of video game studios and developers that work to promote the growth of digital and interactive entertainment produced in Argentina. Our main objective is to promote the growth of the video game industry, and we currently have 130 partners throughout the country. We're also members of the Latin American Game Development Federation. ADVA is an intermediary institution that coordinates actions between the studios and entrepreneurs that develop video games, and also the public sector and the private sector. We work to promote and foster the development of the local video game industry to Argentina and the world. And here on this slide, you will see some of ADVA's partners. ADVA has over 130 associated professionals and studios, as I said before, and directly represents more than 100 emerging entrepreneurs, making it one of the leading video game developers association in Latin America. And on this slide, you can see the size of Argentina's industry in 2019. As you can see, 77% of what is developed is exported around the globe, being the US and Canada our main markets. We have almost 2,000 multidisciplinary human resources. Argentina can offer highly skilled professionals, especially programmers, designers, and artists. The main platforms that we work on are PC and mobile. And on the pie chart on this slide, you can see where the main studios are located within our country. As you can see, apart from Buenos Aires, we have the provinces of Mendoza, Cordoba, and Santa Fe, which will be our focus of today's panel. ADVA's main goal is to professionalize the industry to maintain competitiveness and bring us closer to new markets by fostering networking and professional development opportunities for our community. And on this slide, you can see the winners of our mentorship program called Mi Primer Videojuego Publicado. This is one of our tools to reach those goals that I previously mentioned. Since 2016, ADVA has been hosting Mi Primer Videojuego Publicado, which is my first published video game, a practical training and learning program. It is completely free and gives emerging video game developers a series of tools to successfully guide them in the development, publication, and marketing of their products. This program selects 8 projects to be mentored for 6 months by leading figures from our industry. It is a one-time opportunity for emerging Argentinian developers to sit down in front of national video game industry experts and receive mentoring, professional advice, and also critical feedback on their projects. The goal is for increasingly more Argentinian video games to be published, of course. And on the next slide, I want to talk about our expo. ADVA also organizes the Argentine Video Game Developers Expo, which is called EVA, as you can see on the slide. And after 18 editions, the Argentine Video Game Expo has become one of the most important game developers conferences for the Latin American industry. On the next slide, you're going to see a short video of the 2020 edition. It was the first time since 2003 that we made EVA 100% virtual, and it was a complete success. And on the last slide of this presentation, you're going to see our contact information in case you're interested in learning more about ADVA, or if you want to be part of this year's EVA in September. And now we're going to move to what brought us together on the first place, which is our panel. So, hi guys, how are you? Today I have the pleasure to be moderating this incredible panel. Here I have with me 3 representatives from the 3 more active provinces in Argentina in terms of game development and outsourcing after Buenos Aires. Representing the province of Córdoba, we have Hernán López. Hernán is the CEO of Epic Llama. He's also part of ADVA's board, and he's the spokesperson for Córdoba. He's a game designer and a very bad musician, if you ask me. Hi, Hernán, how are you? Then we also have someone representing the province of Mendoza. He's Leandro Agostino. He is an electronic and telecommunications engineer from the University of Mendoza. His background is in game design and video game production, and he's the CEO of Scuba Light Studios. He's also the director of the video game development studies at the University of Mendoza, and he is part of the board of directors of ADVA, and he is spokesperson for Mendoza. Welcome, Lea. And last, but definitely not least, representing the province of Santa Fe, we have Mariano Obeid. Mariano Obeid is a developer, entrepreneur, teacher, and gamer. He is the director of Kilobanes, a video game development studio founded in early 2009 in the city of Santa Fe. He has experience working with big brands such as Cartoon Network, Disney, Lego, Discovery Kids, P&G, amongst others. So welcome, guys. How are you today?
Hello there.
Hello, hello.
Okay, guys, so now we're gonna move to the set of questions I prepared for you because I'm very interested to learn what's going on in Córdoba, Mendoza, and Santa Fe. So would you mind sharing more details about your studios and in what projects you're currently working on? I would like to start first with Hernán.
Oh, thank you. So kind. I will have sworn you were going to start with Mariano because he's now the president of ADVA. But thanks for the honor of starting the conversation going. Well, I'm CEO of Epic Llama, a studio that have already 13 years of making games professionally. We started making games for browsers, for Flash games. That well, the poor Flash technology is already there, but we keep making games now for PC and for Xbox and other consoles, and that's our like what we are doing now. We are currently making Unusual Finding, that is a point and click games. We in the past also have made some point and click games that have win some awards, like Darkest Little Castle, which also was released for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, Android. Well, it was released everywhere. I think I don't want to capitalize more conversation, so I switch to Leandro or to Mariano, or I go back to you, Florencia.
Sure,
You decide.
yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Hernan, for sharing all those details about your games and your project. Leah, would you mind sharing with us what you're currently working on with Scuba Light, please?
Well, hello again. We are in Scuba. Currently, we are working on two games. Our first two games for PC. We have been developing apps and mobile games from 2015. And last year, we decided to turn the vision of the studio, and now we are working on a single player story. It's called Junior Solution, and an online multiplayer game that is called Project King of the Hill. It doesn't have name yet, but we are looking forward to the remains of 2021 and 2022, and always doing the job of projecting at medium and long term. So a lot of working at the west of the Argentina.
I love it. I love everything that's going on in Mendoza as well. So, Mariano, would you mind sharing
Sure.
about some information about your projects as well in Santa
Sure.
Fe?
Well, as Florencia said, I am the director of Kilabanis. It's a slightly younger studio than Epic Llama. We are only 12 years old instead of 13. We just turned 12 years old a week ago. And currently we are 16 people. We do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We started as well as a Flash game development studio, then we transitioned to HTML5, and right now we are in a lot of projects at the same time. We are doing our first console game based on our own IP. That is not really disclosure yet, but most of our income on most of our day-to-day work is basically doing HTML5 and Unity projects for third parties. As Florencia mentioned before, like Cartoon Network, Disney, Lego, Discovery Kids. And I don't want to go deeper because of NDAs and that kind of things. But currently we're working for the United States, and we are working at the same time for smaller Latin America branches of some of our all-time clients, with people from Colombia and Buenos Aires mostly.
Can't wait to hear more about this new project. When we'll be able to hear about it?
I don't know yet. It's really early stages.
Well, great. I hope that sometime next year, hopefully. So I wanted to know, Hernan, what initiatives are carried out within Cordoba to foster the gaming industry?
Well, great question. And we are working with ADVA. We are working with different government branches that are really looking forward to help the game industry in Cordoba. That's pretty great. That's really good. We have the Polo Audiovisual de Cordoba, which grants different awards that fund development of different games to studios. We also are like talking with the Agencia Córdoba Innovar y Emprender, which is another government branch that also invest in companies that are starting in Cordoba, and we're working with them. So they include video games, because this is not exclusive of video games. It's like general for the different industries that they want to like make it grow. So we work with them, and now they included video games as one of those industries that they fund. And we also work with Pro Córdoba, that is like the agency that help us developers reach different parts of the world and also help us bring clients to our conference here and to show the different studios that we have here in Cordoba. Also, we are creating different webinars and courses to try to motivate more people to join the game industry, because what happened in Cordoba is that we have grown a lot in the last couple of years. So we need more human resources. So we're trying to capture all the students that are out here. Well, Cordoba is known as Cordoba La Docta, because it's Cordoba, the translation will be from Cordoba of doctors, because we have like a lot of students. It's a really province with a lot of universities and so on and so forth. So we want to capture all the students and make them join the dark side of the force and be part of the game industry. In fact, tomorrow I have to go to La Falda, which is a tourist city that is also trying to bring more students to make video games and start this, to join this industry. So we are like going around preaching about the game industry here.
Pretty much what we're doing here also. So yeah, thank you, Hernan. And Leandro, would you mind sharing with us what's the situation in Mendoza? What are the different initiatives that you're carrying out to foster the gaming industry there?
Of course, I can. So basically, we also are going around and doing different kind of talks on universities and different places. Basically, with the Association of the Video Game Developers of Argentina, we mix the work with the University of Mendoza and with the Film Andes Audiovisual Cluster that they had included us into the working cluster. So with all these agents, we start working with International Bank of Development, working locally with the Ministry of Economy and the Film Andes Audiovisual Cluster. And that has given us this acceleration program to include several companies, video game companies. And that has been very productive for us, because we have been promote internationalization, reaching different markets as GDC, as Gamecom. Here, back in Latin America, we have reached Colombia, Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, and that has given us this synergy in order to take our games with leading publishers and different parts of the industry. So we have reached like 6 universities and different educational institutions. We have reached video game and different software creative companies. And with that, we have achieved to different public policies and different tax benefits in order to make simpler to the companies to go to games. So it has been a work side by side with the government and the education and the private sector for the last 6 years, I will say.
Yes, it takes a lot of time and effort, but it's all worth it at the end. So yeah, I wanted to know also, what's the current situation in Santa Fe? Mariano, would you mind to share that with us?
Sure. Sure, of course. Well, here in Santa Fe happened something similar to what Hernan told about Cordoba. We are also a really big university province. No, it's not so concentrated in a single city, but instead we have 3 different cities, one in the north, one in the center, that is where I'm from, that is Santa Fe, and another one in the south called Rosario, that happen to have a spread of universities in different areas, you know, like informatics and computer science. And at the same time, we happen to have here in Santa Fe two pioneer careers in the public universities. Here in Argentina, for you at home, you might not know, but the public university is really prestigious. It's not like something that you say, okay, so I'm going to the public university and it's free, and so it will be worst. But instead, we have really good university quality, and we are really proud of that. So what happened here in Santa Fe is that um, in my city, the university, National University of the Litoral. Litoral is the region where my province is located. Opened 9 years ago the first public university degree on video game development. And at the same time, the UNRAF, the University of Rafaela, that it's up north in the province, where I happen to be a teacher in production there, opened the first free and career in a public university, and at the same time is the first license in, it's not license, the word I'm looking for, licenciatura in Spanish. Google translated for me then later, but the first licenciatura in the whole Latin America university spectrum for specifically game production instead of development or programming. So for us, those are really big things that made the ecosystem work. It's not just a coincidence that where universities happen to be, the more human resources you have, and at the same time, statistically, you have more people prone to uh, become an entrepreneur and chase their dreams. Also here in Santa Fe, what we have is a really tight relationship with the Ministry of Culture, that they happen to have something similar that what the Polo Audiovisual of Cordoba is doing, that is called Espacio Santafesino. This year they changed it. In between governments, they rebranded the tool, but it's basically a grant for projects that are promising to help them thrive and create at least the vertical slice of the project and look for a publisher and move forward. At the same time, we have a really tight relationship with what is called Santa Fe Global, that is the province agency of external external commerce. And we are doing a lot of capacitations right now with companies like Unity or Unreal. Right now with Unreal, but in the past we did it with Unity as well, to some train the trainers to teach teachers how to teach. How many times you can say teach in a whole in a single sentence. And at the same time, we are working with the municipality of my city, Santa Fe, and the national government to make a training for human resources for the students that are studying, to understand how to make their first steps into Unreal. And yeah, basically that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariano. Yeah, basically that, as if it was very little that you are doing over there. So that brings me to my next question, because I wanted to learn what education programs are available for Cordoba. And then Leandro, if you want to share with us what's going on in Mendoza as well. What formal education do your communities have access to? Because I know we have highly skilled professionals, but I want to know where they can learn and be actually professionals in the gaming industry.
Sure thing. Here is where I'm going to fail a lot, because I don't know in English how to say like tecnicatura or diplomatura.
Well, tecnicatura
I mean,
is bachelor's degree.
it's bachelor degree, and diploma is just diploma, diplomatura. I'm not sure. I will try not to expand too much on my failing on English. The thing is, well, as I said before, Cordoba have a lot of universities. So we have like classics careers like engineering or arts, and all those classic careers where game development can like take human resources because we need engineers and we need programmers and we need artists, classic artists and classic programmers as well. So in that regard, we have like many universities offering that classic careers, but we also have careers that are specific to video games and some, as you say, bachelor degrees on the video game industry in the ES21 University, ES Siglo XXI. And we also have 3 diploma for the UPC, Universidad Provincial de Córdoba, which is provincial university. We have their 3 degrees. They are short courses, but they are all pushed, and all the teachers are people which a lot of experience on the game industry, which that's pretty nice because they learn the skills there, and you have like a diploma for game art, for game programming, and for video games in general. Those are the 3 that are specific. Also, as I told before, the degree of the bachelor degree for ES Siglo XXI and the classic careers, if you want to say so. And that's it, I guess.
Thank you, Hernan. And what about Mendoza, Leandro? What's the formal training that the community can have access to?
So we have a very healthy ecosystem here of universities in Mendoza. We have 9 major universities and a lot of minor educational institutes. We have a lot of degrees of engineer in programming, in science, in computers. We had some degrees in art, in traditional arts. And we have the focus in video game in 2 universities, one in private. We have in the University of Mendoza 2 bachelors, one on programming, on video game programming, and one on video game art. Also there we have a workshop, an annual workshop that it's called Video Game Club, that includes, is a free and extracurricular workshop in order to include everyone. And we have another university that is a public one, the University of Cuyo, that has different degrees that are more focused, and they are shorter in all the different parts of the video game arts. And we are always looking for expand the promotion and the offer of the education. Is always a very important thing to do.
Thank you, Leandro, for sharing more details about the educational programs that you have in Mendoza. Mariana, would you like to share with us what's going on over there in Santa Fe regarding education?
Sure. I spoiled a little of this answer in the previous one, but I don't think that it will be out of place to repeat a little bit of it. Basically, we have, as I told you, 2 main degrees in video games in the province, plus a couple of what we call third grades courses, if you will, that people can take on video games. But at the same time, for example, here in the city, you have 3 different degrees in computer science that you can have. Also, as you might all know at home, in video games, there are not just informatic engineers or computer scientists. We also have artists, musicians, we have writers, we have animators, 3D artists. I don't want to repeat myself, but I do. And we have a really big spread of careers in the main 3 cities I told you: Rafaela, Santa Fe, and Rosario. You have a couple of other universities in the province that you can study other kind of things, but yeah, basically those are the 3 places where you can really teach yourself or go to get a degree in something that will help you to enter the industry.
Great. So, well, thank you, Mariano. And I know all of you talked about how you're working and collaborating with different government agencies to foster the game development industries within your provinces. But I wanted to know if you have access to funding. So, Hernan, would you mind sharing with us how it's like in Cordoba and if the studios there have access to any specific funding in the region?
Yeah, sure thing. That's a great question also. We are working with, among others, Cordoba agencies, with Polo Audiovisual de Cordoba, which is an agency that promotes video games among other audiovisual industries. And they have specific funding for video games, which is about the 15% of the whole budget of the Polo Audiovisual de Cordoba. So that's fixed every year when they fund the agency. There is a specific amount of money that goes to fund video games, and not only funding video games. That's something that is really important, but also to help create different lectures for developers to learn new skills, also to create different conferences for video games. Here we used to host when we didn't have like the current health crisis that we all are having. We used to have Eva Cordova here in Cordoba. This year is not going to be there, but it also helps to fund that, and specifically funding projects. We have like this year we're going to have like 5 games funded by the Polo Audiovisual de Cordoba that fund 100% of the development. There is like a contest with different developer supply, and they are reviewed by a committee, and then they are selected. The best ones are fully funded. And also for studios, we have this new thing that is, let me remember exactly the name of the Agencia Córdoba Innovar y Emprender. Sorry, I have to check this because it's new for me. And they also fund when you invest, when someone outside invests on in a company from Cordoba, a video game company from Cordoba, the state invests the same amount of capital up to, I think this year is 2 million pesos. Next year it's going to change. It's changed every year, but it's a really great way to start making games, to start with these grants, because that seeds, and that is what I guess, between other things, of course, what helped the industry to grow so much in the last year. So, well, yeah, we have some fundings, and we are really happy with that.
Thank you, Hernan. And what about Mendoza, Leandro? Do you have access to any specific lines of credit or funding from either the government or the private sector there in Mendoza?
Well, here in Mendoza, we have been working, like I said before, with the Ministry of Economy and the Firmandes Audiovisual Cluster, because we have been on an acceleration program with the International Bank of Development. What you need to understand here is that Mendoza is on the Andes Mountain. There is a region that is very good to produce wine. So Mendoza is a wine city, awarded city for the quality of the wine, and also receive a lot of tourists because of the ski center and the rest of the offer. So 10 years ago, we were super good at some things, but we were making video games. So the government started to promote in all software industry and creative industry. And for the last 10 years, we have been working on this side. In the last 6 or 5 years, we have been upgrading all these efforts, and now we have different ways to fund a game within the government and outside, or ways to look for investors and bring all this work here to Mendoza. Basically, what we have been doing is building a strategy for the diversification of the productive matrix in the region. Video games in Mendoza we are the rookies. We are the new guys. We are the new guys on the block. We are like in Argentina, the region that started most recently doing it, but we are very proud because we can say that this year and last one and the next one, we are going to be able to fund several prototypes and vertical slice of different companies. We are looking to try to fund all the companies that are inside of the cluster, or the working cluster, or the audiovisual cluster. And we are going to look for a law outside the cluster in the Ministry of Economy in order to promote all the companies that want to go there. So we are starting to get some achievements in the matter, in the field.
Thank you, Leandro. And yeah, you may say that you're rookies, but you're the third after Buenos Aires. So you got something really interesting going on there in Mendoza, and the community is growing exponentially since the last year. So congratulations on that. And
Thank you. Thank you.
Mariano, now I'm going to turn to you. I wanted to learn how does the funding system work in Santa Fe, and if you're working with any specific agencies or companies
Well,
for them.
basically, there's a problem with funding on the private sector, mostly on the banking side. That is not just a problem that we have on video games, but it's something that goes across all the IT sector in general. There's since we don't have a stock of raw materials, or we don't have big machineries, or we don't have, like a warehouse that we can put as a collateral. There's always a little amount that you can get at really high uh, interest rates on the banking, for example. We always end up looking forward for any opportunity that the government, as I think that the word you used before is foster us, right? To take care of the problematics of the sector. And we are working a little bit on that. There are from time to time some low interest rates and uh, low responsibility, if you will, since they don't ask you to put, I don't know, a house as a collateral. Uh, s- uh, Loans that the government works with the banks to help the industry. But I think that we are working a little bit to see how we can get the private and the people who owns the big traditional industries like metal and at the same time, Santa Fe happens to be a big producer of soybeans and wheat and a lot of grain, and we have a lot of exportation, and we have big people with big money, and we are looking forward how to work to help them see that, yeah, their video games is an industry with risk, but once you get a project that really hits the mark, pays up for maybe 20 or 30 failures. So it's something that we are on early stages here. There are not really good investment helps or funds like Hernan mentioned or Leandro mentioned, like, for example, if you get 1 million pesos of investment, the government gives you 1 million pesos of investment, that kind of things. We don't have them yet. We are a really traditional, historic province. In Santa Fe is the province where the flag was raised by the first time, and a couple of meters from where I am seated, our constitution was signed. But after that, everything stood still for a little bit. So yeah, it's we have things. Sorry for taking a long time here, but we have things like, for example, the university and the technological park here. They created an accelerator that is big money put in big biotechnology projects, and that is opening us a little bit the window for us to enter and to convince people to start getting money into um, new things.
Thank you, Mariano. And I guess that's where the publishers enter into play, right? Because you need to go out and look for funding somewhere else, at least for the time being, unless until we make some progress within Santa Fe and the rest of the provinces, Córdoba and Mendoza as well. So that takes me to my next question. I know the three of you and many of the studios and your provinces have experience working with publishers from all over the world. So would you mind sharing with us what it is like to work with publishers from abroad directly, for example, from Córdoba, Hernán? And if there's anything in particular that publishers should take into account to work with studios from Córdoba, for example?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but what you were saying about looking for funding on publishers, that's something that I recommend every developer, no matter where in the world they are, do, because that's a great way to also remove risk from yourself when you are developing a game. So that's something that applies to every developer, I guess. So the experience that we have with publishers so far is really good. Our time zones happen to be what I think. We all three have the same time zone, so that's applied to Argentina in general. But it's really compatible with the United States, Canada, and also with Europe. We have like Eastern, Western culture and values. So in that regard, we are going to be very like in a lot of things. We also have worked with people from all over the place. So people from China, which it's tricky on our behalf. Usually we are the ones who change that we wake up at 3 in the morning to have a meeting or something like that. So it's not going to make a lot of change. Yes, when you send an email and you are working from like China, for instance, it's going to be 1 day delay between reply and when you send the message. But for people from the States, it's no different at all. It's just like we are there. You can like call us at any time, and well, not at any time, but you can call us, and we are going to be kind of like in the same time zone. So in that regard, it's really good. And what I'm going to say, working with us is super amazing. It's true, but it's obvious that we are going to say that. So I would try it out yourself. Invest in Cordoba in game studios from here. But yeah, we
to have the full Cordoba experience.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, what can I say? You can have Fernet here, which is a drink that is really popular here in Cordoba if you come. But I think probably it's as any other studio from any place in the world. The only difference is here we are going to be upside down when you are like in the right position, or vice versa. But I think that's it.
Yeah, I found very useful a tool that it's called time zone converter. That's so it helps a lot whenever you check. You need to check if the people you're contacting are awake or not, right?
Yeah, we use that a lot. And something that I can add up is that since here the industry is growing so fast, we have like a network of other companies that we can like rely on. And when you are missing art, for instance, you can like collaborate with asking for other resources around here to help us. So we like kind of like help each other, and that's like really cool. That but probably Leandro and Mariano are going to have like the same experience because we help each other all over Argentina. It's not something that is just the province closed, but that's it, I guess.
Yeah, we have a really close community regardless of the province you are in, right? And Leandro, what's your experience working with publishers? And is there any specific recommendation or tips that you would like to share with us?
Well, I agree with Hernan. The first publisher that we work with was called Worker Bee from Tokyo. That was our first experience. So we first met in Chile at Santiago. We first met with them at Santiago, and the representation of the publisher didn't speak English or Spanish. So he had this speaker that he talked to the speaker in Japanese, and the speaker talked to me in English, and I talk in English with the speaker, and then it was a tricky way to communicate with him. And after that, we had this meeting, meetings at rare hours. It was a great experience. The second one was an European publisher. It was a more normal thing to do. I don't know. But after that, we started talking with people around the world and at different hours and at different, always in English, but with different people of different countries, I want to say. I recommend it too to have a publisher first because it's a very healthy thing to take the funding and develop the game, but also because the publisher has this knowledge of how to launch a game. Sometimes you can finish the game, but it's more difficult or the same as doing it to launch it. And sometimes if you launch a game yourself, it's the same thing as throwing it in the trash. So I don't recommend self-publishing or auto-publishing. I recommend to work with these people that know how to work the market. Most of all, if you are a new company or you are in your first games, maybe as long as you go, you will have the chance to launch your own products. But if you are starting, maybe the best thing is to start looking funding in your government, in your area, and in order to finish the game, look for funding into a publisher. That is a very good advice that Hernan just gave us. I agree on that. And well, we have a very good experience with the first two ones. Now for the games that we are doing right now, we are looking for some partners in order to fund it and publishing and launch it. So we are being very open and very careful in order to who we make a business, because you have to have this respect for your own art, and you have to be careful to who you put your games with. Is something that developers sometimes don't do. They always focus on develop the game, and they don't put their attention in how they are going to finish it and launch it, and who they are going to finish it and launch it. So that is something that I always say to everybody and try to not take a rush decision of who are you going to work with.
Thank you, Leah, for your experience and your advice. So Mariano, would you like to share with us your experience working with publishers?
Yeah. Well, to be respectful, since I took so long in the previous answer, and since Hernan and Leandro already said pretty much the same, I think about publishers, I will make a short answer on this. But basically, I think that before replaying the part of funding, let's go to the part of publishers. Uh, you're always publishing with a publisher. The thing is, if you don't go with a external publisher, you are creating the publisher in-house, and you must think if you're willing to spend the time and money that publishing a game takes, or if or if you prefer to basically get into relationships with someone who knows how to publish the kind of game you're creating, knows the correct PR that they have to pick and email and ping and butter to give you the right exposure. And at the same time, if you have the budget to do it, because it takes sometimes people will say no, but you only have to send a couple of emails. Yeah, but you need someone who first of all knows how to express herself, themselves. I don't know how to say it in English. um then they have to know how to sell the game, and then their time is worthy as well. It's time you will be spending money on someone doing so. Once again, you're always publishing with a publisher. Either you create the publisher in-house or you go with a third party. About funding, yeah, I agree with Hernan that yeah, you need it helps you to mitigate a little bit of the risk you are taking on the project, and at the same time, the publisher not only provides money, but at the same time shares insight on the industry, on how to read KPIs, key performance indicators, that sometimes we are really dull on that subject, or we just guess. It's the same as a tarot card for us. We see a couple of numbers, we say, oh, we should, and we don't have any idea what we're doing. But at the same time, I agree with Leandro, what he says, that when you're just starting, you might want to go to the government on funds or that kind of things, because you really have to work out the project you're going to a publisher first. If you don't have any experience, if you don't have any previous project, or if you don't have a solid prototype, it's really, really hard for you to get a proper publisher that will invest in your project. So uh, basically, I agree with Leandro. If you are starting, look forward who can help you with funding to start your prototype and to create a proper document and everything. And once you're there, yeah, look for a publisher aside from the funding they can give you, because they will be the proper partner you're looking for to publish in the specific segment you're looking forward to publish.
Thank you very much, Mariano, for your advice. So guys, well, we're coming to an end of this panel. Thank you so much for sharing all your experience and knowledge on the industry. But I wanted to ask one final question, because I want to learn more about the studios that are working within your region. So Hernan, would you like to share with us other studios that are currently working on game development or even outsourcing within Córdoba?
Yeah, sure thing. Let me think a few. Well, of course, we are there, Epic Llama, but you also have PCA that they are making mobile games, casual and hyper casual mobile games. Pilgrim, which are they are doing outsourcing. Many games that they are making, games for PC. They just released a demo of the game called the latest game, because they released a few games already, which is Teetopia. You can check it on Steam. Robbie Studio, which released it less than a month ago, a great game called Blue Fire, which is on Switch, Nintendo Switch, and Steam, with really positive coverage from press and from users. So good for Robbie Studios. Ravigan, which also do outsourcing, but also made their own IPs, and they just released also that in these last 2 months we released a few games here in Cordoba. There is Teratopia, which is a really funny, weird-looking, oddball of a game. When you command a lot of like little creatures, you should check it out. It's for all kind of like consoles and also PC. And Trejo GS or Trio GS, which they are doing outsourcing for other companies. So check their profile if you want to do some outsourcing. We have like many different studios and different targets that in Cordova are being developed. For instance, let's name a few other games. Darkest View Castle, that we made and released. Unusual Finding, that's also ours. Blue Rider, which is from Ravigan too. So we have like a few games that we can name that you can check and take a peek on the games that are made in Cordova.
Thank you so much, Hernan. And Leandro, what about the Mendoza ecosystem? Are there any studios that would like to share with us?
Well, if you want to take a peek what we are doing in Mendoza, you have, for a start, we can name Ethereal of Nonsense Art that won the Independent Game Festival on 2019. That it was awesome, an awesome moment. Last year, we also shipped Triumph's Wake of Bacchus Studio that went to a publisher of California. With that was a multiplayer, the first multiplayer game of Mendoza, I think. And we also have Unparalleled that went to Humble Bumble last year. And we are expecting for this year some titles. We have Unusual Funny Things, that is Unusual Funny Things, no. There's I forgot the name of the game. That is on the same studio that make Unparalleled. That they are projecting to launch this year the new game. We have this massive company that's called Aconcagua Software that last year started to move some arrangement in the video game company, and now they are working for Magic the Gathering. That is an awesome title to work with. We have some animation studios that are doing some outsourcing from all over the globe, and it's like Mariano says, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we are having something. I am forgetting everything at this moment. I didn't have the list in my hands.
Here I'm here to help you. The team that you wanted to mention was Parenthesis, and they are working with Urban Explorers as well.
Urban Explorer, yes.
Urban
Explorer is an amazing roguelike that they have been working all past year, and they are going to ship this year. And in pixel art, that is an amazing game. And at the moment, I don't remember anyone else, but I am for sure forgetting something. But we had some interesting thing going around here.
Yes, and if anyone is interested in learning more about the communities within Mendoza, Córdoba, or even Santa Fe, you can contact us within the email address that I gave at the beginning, so that we can send all the details. No worries. Thank you, Leandro. I know that there are many, many names that we can mention now. And Mariano, how about the community within Santa Fe? Are there any studios you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I will not do an exhaustive list because I will forget someone and they might get offended. But there are some highlights that I want to bring to the table. There's a big product that people might know that is looking for this conference, even people that is not from video game specific. If you ever work doing pixel art, there's a tool called Asprite that is from here from Santa Fe. We have, of course, Kilabanis, that is my studio. We have a studio called Mate Cocido doing VR. We have even part of the team of Spryfox, that they're from California, part of the team who build Bushido Bear and Triple Town and Alpha Bear. They're here in Santa Fe. We have part of the team of an English team that I don't know if I can mention, so I will not, doing the development part here in Santa Fe. And the industry here is from a long time ago. We since Leandro mentioned the IGF, there was a game from here the city called Prototia that was nominated for IGF and never won, but then it became in together with a studio that doesn't exist anymore called Sabarasa, became the first console, the first Wii game from Argentina to be published. Then there are this same studio that doesn't exist anymore, sadly. They were working in video games since the Spectrum, right? So really long time ago. And there are new studios that are being born, like Burn Studios in Rafaela. The eldest studio maybe in the province is still alive, that is Sismo Game from our good friend Andres Rossi. Our I don't know. There are plenty of studios and things. And what is funny, some of these studio I never met them. I didn't know them from here from Santa Fe, but instead one of them I was in a GDC when the head of studio from the United States told me that his head developer was in my province. And there even was a time at Gamescom in Germany that a team from England told me that their head developer was living 80 meters from a house, and I didn't know him. So I cannot assure you how many other people we can find under the rocks here, but every year we know of more people doing this. And before I end, because I know that you, Florencia, will do the wrap up, we talk a lot of different provinces, agencies, but I wanted to thank to the Invest and Trade Agency from Argentina, since they invited us to this panel. Once again, you're doing the wrap up, but I didn't want this to be missed.
But he also wanted to do the wrap up.
No, it's not a wrap up. It's just a thank you because I'm the president and we're doing this. So that's it. All I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you guys for sharing your stories and all your knowledge within the industry. Yes, as Mariano said, thank you for your support, for the agency's support. This couldn't have been possible without them. They are the puppeteers behind the curtains right now. So thank you guys. And that's all for the panel for today. But if you want to learn more about the video game ecosystem within Argentina, visit adva.bg, that's adva.bg as in video games, to learn more about our community and what we're doing over here. We're super excited to collaborate with you guys. And if you have any time within South by Southwest conference, please stop by the Argentina house and say hi. We'll be more than happy to welcome you. Thank you, guys.